Hi guys, BJ on GameDay here. You got Brent, you got Joshy. It's Tuesday, and most importantly, Teamless Tuesday. The day we've all been waiting for, and for us here tonight, it is going to be team reveal show.
Yes.
Joshy.
After all the weeks of speculation, we finally got Teamless Tuesday today. A few cheapies came in that we all thought were going to be there, and it's allowed us to come up with a final 25. So we're going to run through our teams. We're going to start with the hookers. We're going to run you through the whole 25 and just show you who we've got and who we're taking into the season. Let's start with our hookers.
Yeah, so I guess they're looking a bit familiar at this point.
Yes.
I've actually gone back on something I said in an earlier podcast, and there is most notably no CS9, Cameron Smith in the right side.
And the same with me. So we're looking at exactly the same pair of hookers for us guys. We've got Api Coruscant starting for the Manly Sea Eagles, and we've got Damien Cook on the bench. A little bit of news today, obviously, with Robbie Farah not getting a spot, and no Jackson Hastings on the Manly Sea Eagles bench. Obviously, they do have Lewis Brown there, but hopefully that will impact as little as possible on Api Coruscant's minutes. And we've gone with the two, I guess you could say, mid-rangers rather than the CS9 approach. And what are your thoughts, Brent?
Mate, for me, the decision came down to that I was a little bit thin somewhere else and I had to free up some cash. I really liked pretty much the rest of my side, but once I saw the team list, I was a bit more comfortable to take a punt on Coruscant. That being said, Louis Brown is there, but now Cameron Smith is a pod to our teams, and that's a bit of a worry, but these are the decisions that can make and break you, and I hope this year it does not break me.
Exactly right. Look, I said from the start I wasn't going with Cam Smith. I've held up to that. Api Coruscant was who I had my eye on the whole time, and Damien Cook, now that Robbie Farah's gone, massive player to have, even as your starting hooker, let alone on your bench. So he'll get the 80 minutes. He should be able to shoot up a fair bit in price as well. Let's go to our front rows. Now, we've both gone, I guess you could say, a little bit thin in the front rows. I've got Jay Brom and Matthew Lodge starting for me. And I've got James Fisher-Harris and Kalepi Tanganoa on the bench. Jay Brom, I just think he's going to have that comeback season. Matty Lodge, they've got the interview coming out tomorrow with him. It looked a little bit interesting. I saw some of it there tonight on TV. And so it should be interesting to see in the front row. Yeah,
mate, same again. I have big Sammy Burgess starting up front. And then the next starting spot's a bit of a toss-up at this point at the moment. I've penciled in Robbie Rocco, so he has looked like secured a starting back row spot there for the Tigers. That being said, I do have Leilani Latu and Matty Lodge sitting there on my bench. I think at this stage I'm going to run Robbie Rocco for round one, but it's a bit of a toss-up. I guess I'll be able to see after round one how they all go, and maybe I need to play Latu or Lodge, but at the moment I'm going to go with Rocco. So,
what about your back row, mate? Who you got in there?
Yep, so the back row for me probably a little bit different and potentially a little bit unexpected for a lot of people. Highlighted by the fact my most expensive back rower is $573k in the form of Nathan Brown.
Okay.
I've then got a couple of guys who I'm tipping to bounce back to form, or more so one in particular being Trent Merrin. And I've also got Tohu Harris. So my starting back row is Nathan Brown, Trent Merrin and Tohu Harris. And there's a bit of a punt there.
Yep. Okay. I guess a lot of people have gone a few more expensive ones. As you say, the highest price one you got there, Nathan Brown at $573,000. But look, all three players capable in their day, proven in Supercoach in the past and last year that they can perform. It's just a matter of will they. That's the gamble. That is Supercoach.
And to be fair, I have had this combination locked down for a while, and I think now Mannering, the injury coming to light there, Harris becomes a bit more relevant.
Yep.
Unfortunately, I thought he was a little sort of hidden secret, but now the value might be there a bit more for him because Mannering's missing. And just quickly on my bench, I've gone Bryce Cartwright as a playing reserve. I've also got Kickow there from Penrith, who's secured a starting spot just on my MPRs at the moment. And I've also gone with Luciano Leilua.
Okay. Yep. He's got the I guess the bench spot at the Dragons. I haven't been able to find room in my team for him, which may be a mistake, but I just wasn't that impressed with his trial form. And look, come round 3 or round 4 or however it may be, if he has a few price rises or good scores due that price rise, I may look at getting him in.
Yep.
For myself, look, I've got Big Sammy Burgess in the back row. You've got him in the front row. I've got him in the back row alongside Jake Trbojevic, and I've also got Mitch Barnett. I did have Simon Mannering in there. The injury has forced me to reshuffle. Mannering was one of the players I was sort of looking at setting, forgetting. So, look, I think in Classic, when you want to be competitive, you just really can't have that from the start. You can't have a $660,000 player sitting there and being stuck on the pine. So, look, Trbojevic, Barnett and Burgess. Look, Trbojevic speaks for himself.
Yep.
I think Mitch Barnett will have a bounce-back season. And, look, Sammy Burgess, I think now that he's out on the edge, a lot of players you talk when they go from the middle to the edge being a disadvantage. I think for Sam Burgess, that's an advantage. That said, he's been named at lock, so we'll see where he does end up. On the bench, I've got Slade Griffin, Robbie Rockow, and also Viliamu Kikau. Now, Kikau obviously got the starting spot ahead of Corey Harawira-Naera. Bit of a surprise. I thought he was definitely dual bench spot, but I didn't realise he'd forced his way into the starting 13. So, for a guy who's 192,000, there could be some big price rises there. I did say in one of the previous podcasts I thought he'd be the next CHN, so hopefully that comes to fruition.
Yeah, and I guess just on that, like whilst we haven't got everyone in there, another cheapie at that 192k price that's been named to start in the form of Mark Nichols, I think, 192k.
Yeah, he's in the front row there for the Bunnies.
I guess for me, I have seen what he's done in the past, and I'm a little bit worried about him being a bit of a nightmare potentially. So
yeah.
I've held off him for now, but it's very interesting with some of those sort of players at the moment.
I think you've hit it on the head there. With his past, he was just someone I wanted to stay away from. I'm happy, people who have taken Leilua and things like that, obviously yet to prove themselves in first grade. Nichols has had the opportunity, really has been relevant, in Supercoach, let alone how he plays on the field. So, steer clear from mine.
And I think you got a little bit of cash left in the bank where, say, a Leilua or a Kalepi Tanganoa isn't the one to start out with. You only need an extra sort of 15k to upgrade to maybe a Nichols who might start better than you expected.
Exactly. Who we got in the halves, mate?
Yeah, mate, so this is where I guess some of that money that was missing for me in a bit of my forward pack and bringing Coruscant for Smith starts to show up. And that starts in the halves. I've gone Sean Johnson and JT.
Okay, so you've stacked in the halfback.
Yeah, so I do want to say, I think in the past I had mentioned if you don't have Thurston, you're an idiot, and that's not quite fair to say. They do have a really tough start, and I'm really up in the air about JT. The thing for me, I guess, is, in my opinion, the guy is a future immortal.
Yeah.
He is a living, playing immortal right now, and I just, even against a good side, he's the different. He's one of the best players in the world. So I'm taking a bit of a punt, I think, in the terms of his starts pretty hard, but I think it's a good punt, and I'm willing to go in, but you're not an idiot if you haven't gone with him. So.
No, fair enough.
What about you, mate? Where have you gone?
Mate, I've gone JT. I've got him as my starting half, but I've gone pretty light on in the bench spot with Lachlan Croker. Obviously looking at the money there, but freeing up a bit of cash to put elsewhere, which I've got in my back row and also a few in my backs as well. So JT to start, I think he's just a set and forget for me this year. I'll work towards through the season getting SJ in or someone like that, and to bolster up those halves. But for now, just JT.
Yep. Sounds good, mate.
In the 5/8, mate, I see we've both gone Milford.
Yep.
Mate, I'm pretty confident with him. He was the first bloke picked in my team right from the start. I have had some thoughts about switching him with Munster, but for now, I've gone with Milford and happy with that. I really think he's going to perform with the Broncos this year. I think a few people are sort of doubting him for even top 8, let alone top 4, but I just think that combination that he and Nick Arima have got will have improved from last year, and he'll be a good point of difference.
Yeah, mate, absolutely. And I think just on that, I've gone Croker as my NPR in the 5/8 position. I think pretty much everyone's going to have Lachlan Croker, whether it's halfback or 5'8".
Yep.
You've got him in halfback, I've got him in 5'8". But
Yep.
yeah, he's a lock, got in the starting spot there this year, so 164k is one of the good cheapies this year, hopefully. Well, hopefully, touch wood.
Yeah. Well, I should say that Bryce Cartwright's on my bench in the 5'8" position, so he'll be a reserve for me. Hopefully he can bring back some of the form of 2016 rather than 2017. And yeah, 260,000. Look, he's a risk worth taking. So yeah.
Cool. So moving on to the wing centres now, Joshy. Who have you gone?
I've gone with Latrell Mitchell, Ewan Aitken. I've gone with Mansour. I know a lot of people against him, but I've gone also with Sione Katoa. Obviously the Sharky player, he's got to start on the wing, so I think even at 164,000 with that back line they've got, he's going to find the try line plenty of times this year. So hopefully he'll be the Kotrick of last year. But Latrell Mitchell, look, he'll be kicking the goals when TKO's not there. I think he's going to have a great season with Teddy and Cronk and guys like that. I really think someone like Cooper Cronk is going to bring out a better work ethic in a lot of these young roosters. I just think he's just going to have that massive breakout year this year. Ewan Aitken, look, he just scores points. He's a great centre for the Dragons. And again, he's sort of someone I'd had my eye on from the start. You know, if he can sort of bump that average up to around sort of maybe the 65 with some luck, very happy to have him. And as I said, Mansour, look, I've gone Mansour. I'm not sold on the whole Peachy thing, holding the ball. I think Mansour's a good enough player to go and find it himself. Brings back the ball from the hit-ups like crazy. Tackle bust galore. And I really think he's going to want to force himself back into that Aussie side in the wing spot. So I'm keen to have him. On the bench, I've just gone a few cheapies to keep the price down. We've got Richie Kenner from the Bunnies, who's got a starting spot. Jermaine Asako from the Broncos. And I've got Zach Lomax, who hasn't forced himself into the team yet, but he was the only realistic chance I could put at 164 because I'm out of money.
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Pretty solid looking centre wings you're starting out with, especially compared to mine. So the only difference, I guess, in the premium centre wings, and this is where a bit of that money from Cam Smith ended up being spended, was I ended up upgrading, at the time I had Corey Thompson, but he's now been named on the wing. I thought he was going to get the fullback spot, so it's made me a little bit hesitant on him. So I've actually upgraded Thompson to Latrell. Big fan of Latrell. You've got Latrell. Totally agree. I think he's in for a really big year. Cronk adds to their attack, and I think he's going to be one of the real strike weapons. After that, it starts to get really thin for me. I've gone Peter Hiku at 279, so...
he's got the centre spot.
Yeah, he got the starting centre spot, and I was really chasing some cheapish sort of players that were starting, so he's a lock in my team. Hopefully he can produce early and bump himself up maybe 100 or 150k if we can produce a couple of good scores. I've also got Richie Kenner on my starting side at the moment.
Starting, okay.
I think he's outside GI.
Yep.
And even if he's not, he might be outside Gagai. But if he's outside GI, I just like the prospect.
Okay.
I have to convince myself of that as well, given the fact that I am lining the centres and I've had to pick someone. That being said, I am tossing up between 2 out of 3 guys, and that's being whether to play Richie Kenner and Katoa or Asako getting one of those spots. So I've got Katoa starting at the moment. I've got Asako on the bench. I'm going to run with 2 of those 3, not entirely sure which ones yet. I've also gone Adam Duahi from South.
Yep.
Now,
he hasn't talked about him the last week or 2.
Yeah, so he's been named in the 21-man squad, but he hasn't been cited in the 17. There was a bit of talk of him maybe making the 17, but I have seen a fair bit of the kid, and I'm a bit of a fan. Okay. So I'm willing to take a punt on him. It's a good sign that he's in the 21 at least, which is promising. I know he can play a range of positions, including the back row, centre, in the halves. I'm pretty sure I saw him for Lebanon, and I was really impressed, so happy to just leave him there for the time being. And I've also gone Lomax as well, because I just did need a bit of a cheapie, just because I wanted to have a little bit of cash left over, and I think Mary's capable of just throwing a bit of a spanner in the works as well, and maybe giving him a spot if someone isn't doing it.
He's shown a lot of promise, obviously, and I mean, Dufty's got that fullback spot for now, but I mean, Lomax, yeah, there's a lot of good talk about him. So, I mean, you never know. In 2 or 3 weeks, if the Dufty proposition hasn't worked out, I can't imagine why it won't, but he may get thrown a bone and get a spot.
Yeah, or an injury or something like that. So, so that rounds out my centre wings. A little bit thin this year, but going with the stacked halves and what we're found out to be the fullbacks.
Mate, what I can see from our fullbacks, very similar to our hooker position. We've both got the same and we've both stacked. So, Teddy and Turbo. Simple as that. Look, I've tossed up with it. I hadn't had them in there until today. I didn't have Turbo. I had Teddy the whole time, and I had a cheapie in at fullback that's not even sided. So I've moved a few things around today. Again, I dropped Mannering, a few other key changes, and I've managed to get Turbo in there. So Teddy and Turbo at fullback, pretty happy with that. You know they're going to get the job done. Roosters obviously against Tigers this weekend. Teddy might just put on 200.
He may do, mate. He may do. I think a couple of seasons ago he started out with 150 in the opening round. So yeah, those guys speak for themselves. I couldn't pick one or the other, so I've gone with both. That being said, it's a lot of cash, and hence why I'm a bit thin elsewhere. But happy with those two in the side.
Let's just look at our teams again. Let's just look at, I guess, where the money's going to come from. If we look up, look, I think Damien Cook's going to be a massive price jump this year. Obviously now with Farah out, currently at 378,000. I think this guy could average in excess of 60. I'm banking on him averaging over the 60 mark. That's just going to see a huge jump. Coruscant, same thing. Look, Coruscant's obviously a little bit more expensive, 515,000, but I think they can both jump up in money.
Yeah, mate. For me, there's a couple of like minor concerns. That being Louis Brown on the bench. I'm not sure what's going to happen with that. In the past, he has played a bit of hooker, but if Coruscant can get like at least 65, 70 minutes, I still fancy him. Which is fine. And there's also some murmurs around that Cameron Murray could slip into hooker at some stage. So I don't know how much truth there is to those rumours.
I hope not.
I don't know what the idea with this new coach will be, whether he wants Cook to play 80, but again, I can only see him getting like worst case 60 minutes still, and even if he's only getting 60 worst case, I think he's still a really dangerous prospect for his price. I did tinker with potentially having someone like NAS at the similar sort of price, Nelson, because he's locked down the starting prop spot at Melbourne. But for that similar sort of price, I like the idea of Cook a bit better than Big Nelson. That being said, Nelson could be a really good option. As I said, he's locked down the starting spot. But I thought about it a bit more, and I think it's sort of a bit more of an important position in that hooker position.
I think from the hooker point of view, look, we're looking obviously the front rows there. Blokes like Lodge, Latu, Rockow, Fisher. There's a few blokes who have got starting spots who, you know, are going to get as many minutes as Nas. Maybe not as much of an impact, but they're already starting 100,000, 150,000 behind him, so they've got that much more to make.
And if they're scoring 45 or 50 and he's scoring 60, it doesn't faze me that much. It's probably not going to happen every week. The big concern will be if he starts scoring a heap of tries or something like that. But yeah, there's a lot more of those mid-range or sort of, I guess, pricey cheapies, if that's what we're going to call them, around that 240, 250-ish price that I think have really good potential to make you 100, 150 or more. So yeah, like that being Fisher Harris, Fanil Blake potentially. Manly's been named to start. Kane Evans, depending on what happens with him. Latu, Rockow, Lodge, Kickow. So there's a heap of options.
Let's go a call for the whole season, round 1 to round 26. Which player makes the most money, bottom to top?
Out of any player in
any player
in the competition.
Obviously, you're looking at a cheapie because the more expensive players don't have that roof.
Yeah.
But who do you reckon?
For me, it's a big call, isn't it? For me, it's probably going to be, even though you might not like this answer, it's probably someone like Bryce Cartwright.
Yep.
If he can return to the form that he hit in 2016, whilst he is 100k more expensive than the cheapest cheapie. I think he has the potential to be like a 550,000 plus K player. Do I think, say, someone like Katoa could be a 450 plus winger? He might be.
Yeah.
He very much could be, but if I had to make a call right now, I'm going to go Bryce Cartwright.
Okay. I don't mind, but look, obviously Bryce, 2016, averaged 74. Last year, averaged 29. Drop of 45 points on average. But if he goes back to averaging 74, obviously he's not in that same calibre Penrith team that they had 2 years ago. He's now with the Titans, and there's not much good things to say about him with the lineup they've got. But he is very much an individual player. He does know how to do things and create things himself. So, look, we could see it. We could see by the end of the season he's at 600,000. If he's still at 260,000 by the end of the season, I'm going to want to slip my wrist.
Yeah, no.
But let's hope it isn't that way.
What about
look,
you?
Mate, I'm with Kickout. I'm a big fan. I haven't really shied away from him. I haven't hidden it. I just reckon this bloke is just a gun in waiting. I think it's awesome that he's got the chance to start for Penrith. I would never have said that it was him if CHN was obviously starting there. But now that he's got that chance, if he can somehow keep it for the rest of the year, I reckon you can probably see him jumping from that 190 mark to a 550,000 mark. So, he'd be the one I'm on.
Cool. I think also a couple to mention, like Lockie Croker, depending on how he goes. Good potential to make a bit of cash. You never know what he can do. Katoa, probably another one. But yeah, I think probably thereabouts. I'm really interested in that mid-range front row, as I'd mentioned before. There'll be a lot of eyes on those guys that I'd mentioned to see which ones are the right ones. Because I got a heap of them there. So that's where
between that 250 to 380,000, there's 7 or 8 guys. That if they get the right start, I'd be jumping them in because form lasts. If these guys have a good 2 or 3 rounds, they're going to have a first 10 or 15 rounds or a whole season. So definitely. Bit
like trading, buy low, sell high. You've got to get on before they get that first rise too. If they start well, you don't want to miss a rise of 50 or 60 or more potentially. So
fair enough. Now, obviously, last week's podcast we mentioned we had something a little bit special for anyone who's watching at home. Can you tell me about that, Brent?
Yeah, mate. So, as Jossie's mentioned, we had a little bit of a surprise for everyone. So, what we've gone ahead and done, we've set up a BJ on GameDay league. So, there is a 10-man league. 2 of those positions obviously filled by yours truly, Joshy and myself. And basically, what we're offering is come in, join the league, test yourself against us. We're not saying we're the pros, but we're talking on this, and you can come in and see how you measure up against a couple of keen Supercoach players. But there's a little bit of a twist. So what we're proposing with this league is to no cost to anyone that enters. If you finish higher than both Joshy and myself on total points by the end of the season, we'll pay you $20 cold hard cash.
$20 straight in your pocket.
So I'll just repeat that. You need to finish higher than both Joshy and myself. So if you finish higher than me but not higher than Joshy, you get nothing. You don't get half. But if you beat us both on total points, we'll transfer you $20. Send me a message on Facebook or get in contact with us. We'll make it happen. A couple conditions. You got to like the video, maybe. You got to subscribe.
You got to subscribe, definitely.
Jump in. It's open to anyone that wants to get in, first in, best dressed. Joshy's been more of a head-to-head player in the past, so I'm going to be putting him sort of under the pump.
It's going to be tough.
Make sure he keeps on top of it. I like to think of myself as more of a total points player, so I'll usually keep playing till the end. That being said, I do have a change in circumstances coming in the next couple of months, so we'll see how I manage that. So
you'll be at home more, mate. You can watch more football games when you're at home.
For the time being, just because I want to offer this to the people that are watching by this point. I'm about to announce the league code. We won't put it in the description of the video because we don't just want anyone to come in and see what's going on. So if you're still listening, good on you.
You're good to go.
The other condition I will say is, let's say by Thursday, so game day for the first round of the season, by maybe 4 o'clock or so, if the league isn't full, I might just go and fill the remaining spots with the experts. So I might chuck in a Sangster if I need to. Maybe the guy that won it last year, just so the league is full, because it's a private league. We don't want it to be made public and just randoms go in there.
Yeah.
So that's the condition. I'll say 4 o'clock on Thursday. I'll see where we're at. I'm hoping we can fill it.
I think we will. We've got enough followers by now.
8 spots. It's not many, so get in quick. So the league code, what you're all waiting for me to spit out, and you're probably just screaming at me to hurry up and spit it out. So 542 535. So just to repeat, that's 542 535. If you can knock off both Josh and I by the end of the season on total points, we'll pay you $20 cash at no expense to yourself. Worst case, we're looking at $160 if all 8 players.
We finish last and second last, mate. Again, I'll be like Bryce Caro and slip me wrist.
So that's our offer.
There you go.
I think as well, I'd imagine we're probably going to do some podcasts throughout the season, weekly if we can.
Yep.
Maybe every couple of weeks or something like that. We'll give some updates on how the ladder's looking. And there's also the head-to-head that'll just be automatically as part of that league as well. So
that's always good for bragging rights, guys.
Bit of bragging rights. We might be able to knock one of us off. We won't be able to say much that week, but yeah. So get in, join. It'll be a bit of fun, and we're looking forward to taking you on.
Too easy. We'll have another little special edition tomorrow night. I'll do another On the Couch with Kingo, so make sure you tune in for that one. Otherwise, good luck this week, guys. Get your teams all set, and we'll catch you next week.
Enjoy.